Twist Out Cancer is a local organization that's helping caregivers and cancer survivors a way to connect and heal with art. We have Jenna, Benn, Shersher, founder and CEO, to chat about the organization and their new exhibit at Wonder Museum. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Rudy.
So let's first of all and talk a little bit about Twist Out Cancer and what the organization is all about.
Yeah, so I started Twist back in 2011 after my own experience with gray zone lymphoma. And essentially, what we do is we provide psychosocial support to individuals touched by cancer through creative arts programming. So everything that we do is creative arts focused.
I was able to go to an event that you had recently and got to see some of the people talk about their art pieces. And things maybe necessarily weren't recent, but just hearing them talk about how this art changed their lives, they were still getting choked up. I mean, talk a little bit about what the process is and what's being created, because there's so much emotion attached to it.
Yeah. So I think, people often assume that once you've gone through cancer treatment and you're done with cancer treatment, that your journey sort of stops. And for most of us, I would argue that's not the case. It's almost when things start to begin. So what I sort of realized when I was going through treatment is that after I got out of that system of appointments and checkups and treatment, that there wasn't a lot of support out there for me in this sort of next phase of survivorship. So Twist was sort of built in a response to that. And we developed a program called Brushes with Cancer, which matches artists with people touched by cancer. So that could be someone in treatment, out of treatment, identifies as a previvor, so may have a genetic predisposition to cancer, or is a caregiver. So if you identify in any way, shape, or form as having been touched by cancer, you can participate in this program. And we match those inspirations, is what we call them, with artists. And over a 6-month process, the artists and the inspirations connect. The inspiration shares their journey with cancer, how they've been impacted by it, and the artist creates a work of art reflective of that person's journey. And it's a very emotional experience for most people that are involved. You develop a brand new relationship with someone that you otherwise would not have known. And having art created in your honor allows you to see your journey through someone else's eyes, and it can be a very powerful experience. So that is why when you were at that event, you were hearing people being choked up even a number of years later, because it's very powerful to have a platform to share your story and then to see it articulated through someone else's eyes.
That when you have go through something like this, that you have your family members that you talk to, you have your doctors that you talk to, you may be part of a support group, and sometimes you just need a third party that you can share your experience with, that maybe has no maybe invested prejudgment as to what you're going through or what you need. And it's just like, I'm telling you my experience, I'm sharing this with you, and let's create something together. And that creates something so powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. I used to say that I had like my cancer crew, and then I had my original crew of people that knew me before cancer. And then, the sort of family that I built of people that knew me during cancer and after cancer. And I think it is super important to connect with people and to connect with community of others that get it, that understand where you're at.
I've also chatted with this is something that stuck in my mind, an interview from a long time ago with a famous photographer who said, I always like to tell people, if there is a family photo, whether you're at the beach with your family and you're smiling and your happiest moment, display that, right when you walk in the house, so you always remember that, or something that is a special moment, to have that displayed prominently. And talking to some of the people with the artwork, they had it in a place that always reminded them where they've been, where they were before, and where they're going. And I think that's such a powerful thing, not just it's in a book somewhere, but to have it on your walls and to be able to look at every day.
Absolutely. It's so true. I had the pleasure of going through the program last year, and I was matched with Kate Van Doren, this amazing artist out of Mexico. And she did a couple of pieces for me that we ended up buying because I just felt like they were so personal, and I wanted to make sure that we had them and that my kids could appreciate them. And one of the pieces I have is of me bald, and it was actually a moment where I had just learned that I was in remission. And so it was like a super powerful image that she created off of a photograph. And she's like an unbelievable, she's just an unbelievable artist. And it hangs next to the mirror where I get ready every morning. So I'm always able to see like who I am now next to who I was then. And it's just an amazing reminder for me.
And that pivotal moment in your journey right there.
Exactly.
I don't want to call anybody out, but I have seen some of the artwork, and some of the people that were there at the event. It seemed to lean more towards women. talk a little bit about maybe getting some guys on board and maybe them sharing their journeys maybe
Yeah.
in a way that maybe was not expected or maybe that they're not maybe used to doing.
Yeah, totally. So yes, our program has always leaned heavily towards women. Our artists, a lot of them are men, interesting enough. But I will say that over the years, we've been doing it now for 10 years. Those statistics are changing, whereas before it was probably like 75% women inspirations that were wanting to seek out that experience and to sort of heal emotionally. And I think that it has taken guys a little bit longer to come to it and to say, you know what, this is an opportunity for me. I do deserve that time and place. And so I think that word is starting to get out that this is an emotional and a moving and transformative experience. And we welcome anyone, no matter where they're at. So I do hope that more men will choose to come forward because I think it can be incredibly supportive and healing for them as well.
And just, not to go off too much into a tangent, but over the past couple of years, especially during the pandemic, men talking about their mental health and connecting with their emotions has been a huge thing. And a lot of the stigma attached to it before has been let go. So hopefully you'll see a turning point, not just in this, but just in society in general.
Absolutely. And I think that the more that men come forward and sort of own that vulnerability and know that it's okay to be vulnerable with others and to be outspoken about how they're feeling, the more we're going to start to see those sort of like ripple domino effects of people coming forward. So I give a lot of the celebrities that have come forward about mental health issues a lot of credit because it was something that was so not spoken about and not okay to talk about. And I think that the more that we do it, the more we're going to see people stepping up.
Let's talk a little about what's going on with Wonder Museum and how that connection all happened.
Just the coolest. It's like been a dream, honestly. So the whole thing, the way that it turned out is essentially one of our amazing inspirations, Grace Falls Lombardo, connected with this incredible artist, David Allen, who's a tattoo artist who is now the creative director at the Wonder Museum. When Grace was diagnosed for the second time in 5 years, her husband was really determined to try and figure out a way to support her and to do something that would be meaningful for her family. Grace had participated 5 years ago in Brushes with Cancer and was matched with an amazing artist, Bowen Klein, based in Michigan. And in her second diagnosis is now matched again with a dear friend of hers who is living in Amsterdam. And her family is now participating, has been matched with an art therapist in our program. And Joe, her husband, really was like secretly doing all of these things to like give back to community and to try and really make a difference. And so he was the one that bridged the gap and reached out to David and said, listen, this is an amazing organization that I've supported for years. It means a lot to Grace. Is there any chance that we could do something for Twist at the Wonder Museum? And David was super open to it. And David, just so you know, he is a tattoo artist. He specializes in mastectomy tattoos, so does beautiful florals on women's bodies that are sort of grappling with all different types of issues as it relates to the changing of their bodies, going through surgery or after surgery. So he was really keen on this and wanted to be able to support Grace and her family, loved the concept of Twist. And so we have 2 exhibitions at the Wonder Museum right now that are created by world-renowned artists. We are still pinching ourselves that they actually agreed to do this. And then we have our big event, Brushes with Cancer, on November 19th that will be at the museum as well.
Talk a little bit about the event on the 19th.
Yeah, so Brushes with Cancer, that program that I've been talking about, essentially after 6 months of connecting and creating, the artwork that was created during that process is then exhibited on display, up for auction. All the funds come back right into the program to support the next crop of people participating in Brushes. So it's a really beautiful pay it forward model. And it's just an opportunity for the community to come together, to celebrate, to honor the stories and journeys of the individuals that have been a part of it, and to really just, honor the moment of being together and what they've all gone through together and the friendships that have been made.
Awesome, Jen. Thank you so much for your time today. Twistoutcancer.org is where you can go ahead and find all that information, and make sure you go ahead and visit the Wonder Museum. That exhibit is incredible. And of course, their event on November 19th.
Thanks, Rudy.
Thank you so much.